Hi there, and welcome to this day in history for October 29th. October 29th is the 302nd day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, 303rd in leap years, with 63 days remaining to the end of the year. Today's word is anarchism. Anarchism, Anarchism. I'm working from notes here. In its ideal form, anarchism is a political theory advocating the abolition of hierarchical government and the organization of a society on a voluntary cooperative basis without recourse to force or compulsion. And it sounds nice when you say it that way. Unfortunately, best I can tell, people who push hardest on the philosophy of anarchism maybe are not necessarily always the very best adults in the room. Anyway, anarchists have historically been associated with left-wing movements, anti-capitalism, and socialism, all pie-in-the-sky ideals, but less than ideal results in everyday living, especially in the long-term anarchism. For example, it was anarchists who assassinated King Ferdinand, which led to World War I. That said, let's get on with what I have for you today. Related to anarchism, we're going to talk about a couple of guys known as Sacco and Vanzetti. Nicholas Sacco and Bartolomeo Vanzetti were Italian immigrants who met each other in America. There's pretty good evidence that they were followers of a particular anarchist of the day who advocated revolutionary violence. There was an attempted robbery of a shoe factory in Bridgewater, Massachusetts in December of 1919, and then a robbery at a shoe factory in Braintree, Massachusetts in April of 1920. If you haven't heard about this case, you might wonder why in the world would anybody rob a shoe factory of all things? And the thing is that, back before we had electronic funds transfers and checks before all that, people were paid in cash. And so at a good-sized company like a shoe factory, an armed guard might go to the bank and get the cash, and then they'd set up a pay station, and the workers would file by and take their pay in cash. Imagine that making a robbery like that was probably similar to making a train robbery, except you didn't have to stop the train to do it. There was the attempted robbery in Bridgewater and then the one in Braintree. And during the Braintree robbery, a guard and paymaster were killed during the commission of this robbery. There were likely other individuals involved in either or both of these crimes, but Sacco and Vanzetti were the ones who got caught and went to trial for them. Chances are that if these cases were tried today, the forensic evidence would be more clear, more definite, and they might have been cleared or not, but they were tried and convicted with the evidence available at the time. The jury came back with the guilty verdict in about 4 hours, which is thought to be pretty fast. A series of appeals followed, and with those appeals came a great deal of public attention. This went on with the appeals and the public attention from 1921, when they were convicted, until they were executed in 1927. Even then, investigations into the matter continued throughout the 1930s and 40s. Some believe wholeheartedly that Sacco and Vanzetti were wrongly convicted. If so, somebody got away with murder. The guard and the paymaster. So either way, there are unanswered questions in this matter. Coming out of Bay City and Saginaw, Michigan, a band called Question Mark and the Mysterians were what we might now call a garage band. They were mostly active in the 1960s and are best known for a song they released in 1966 called 96 Tears. Question Mark and the Mysterians have performed a number of other songs and released several albums, but none of their subsequent work has quite met the success of 96 Tears, which hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 on October 29, 1966. The song was certified gold the following month in November of 1966 and is ranked within the Rolling Stones list of the 500 greatest songs of all time. The group's musical style has been described as punk rock and one of the earliest bands to be so described. The lead singer, Rudy Martinez, known professionally as Question Mark, must be quite the Mysterian indeed, as I have been unable to locate any biographical information on him other than that he is the brother of one of the original band members. I'm going to guess he must be in his 70s by now. Wikipedia says they're still working. I've placed a link in the description, and while there are selections with better sound quality, I chose that particular clip for the visual component. 96 Tears by Question Mark and the Mysterians, number 1, October 29th, 1966. And I think that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share this video with a link in your email, messaging, or social media. If you enjoy this series, you can check out the playlist that contains these videos. I'll put a link to that in the description. That description lives on YouTube, so for other platforms, I'll include the link to my blog page that is called No Really. You can also find me on Rumble, Parler, BitChute, and Getter. All those links in that description. Alrighty, that's all I can think of right now. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.